right back.
Black cat pastor dashing through pages, Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases, turning them corners, your spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Songs singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound, plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the Navic blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions, streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered, spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ, flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message, flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions, streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick, raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick.
Again. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Okay. So, I've got new rig set up here, and it did not go as. Oops. That didn't go well. Lady Palace, hey. All right, gonna have to play with that a little more. It's not the angle I want. All right. Move this a second. There we go. That's better. Down just a bit. There we are. All right. Might be able to adjust that a little more, but that's good enough for right now. I would say we're good there. So, yep, we have a new setup. One screen instead of the one below, which I usually was not using, but I've got that set up here. So I think I've got everything rolling this morning. I have not set up the Stream Deck. I don't know why, I have to fully program the whole thing again on the other computer. I guess that's how it works, not the Stream Deck itself having the memory, but I've not done that, so I'll have to do it the old way, I should say. Okay, and let me play with the avatars here. Or streaming avatars, there we go. We'll get a little of that going for everybody who's here. Donut Christian has won, there we go. Okay, everybody's winning. Everybody's winning. And then what we're gonna do today, when we get to the end, is raid out to my fish channels. Oh, you know what? Let me just show you a second. I can't get one of the cams working on this computer, so we do have a peek outside there. But the one behind me is just not there. It's just not showing up. So, but when we get over to the other computer and the other stream, we should be good. We should be good over there. So, I figure I'll do that. Then I'll be what do you call it? Boy, my brain is a little slow and still asleep this morning, I guess. Co-working stream. We'll be doing a co-working stream on my other channel with the fish there, and I might not have everything set up, but I think I'm finally ready. Like, let's just start doing that. Now let me find the browser here so I can show you the Bible in a year. It says it was on it, so why wasn't it on it? I don't know, but that's normal for it to say that and it not to be there. There we go. All right. I think we're good. Okay, so where we are for Bible in a year is we're here at Ezekiel 40, and then tomorrow we'll be in James 1, which will be good. Samarella, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. And I plan to switch over to OBS, but I just have not had the time to do that. So I just decided I'm just going to start going with the two systems, the two setups in slobs on both, and then I'll figure out getting the upgrade over to OBS at some point. So, start working on two, get all of that going, and then start making. So when I'm like doing the collab stuff, the co-working stream on the other computer with the koi pond, I can be here working on OBS while working over there. I know you're not seeing that over there. I'm not streaming yet over there. I will start that in a bit, which would be really funny to stream from both at the same time. But we'll raid out over there. So I'll start that one, and then we'll raid out. So I hope everyone had a great weekend. Had good things going on. And if not, and even if you did, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're hanging out with us today. All right, so we are in Ezekiel 40. No, Samarella, we're still at the beginning. We're still at the beginning. I was just giving an intro of something new. So that was all. No, normally I raid out, but I was saying I'm raiding out to myself. So I was giving a heads up on that before we jump into things. So, no, we're, boy, this would be really early for me to raid out. Barely even got started. All right, so we're in Ezekiel 40. Yeah, I'm excited about... Well, I'm also giving you a heads up. If something goes wrong, you'll know why. And also, I'm looking and going, yeah, I need to take that off because save the goatee makes no sense since we didn't save it. So let me get those off the screen. And let me change that one. No, I'll just take it off for now. Come on, click. There we go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Okay. Yeah, you can start, Sam. Yeah, you got something to share? Go ahead. Yeah, I somewhat got new setup, and I don't think I've got everything, and it's one of those things where you're moving from one computer to another, and you're trying to make sure you have all of your setup the way you want it, and not everything ends up happening. And then you're suddenly realizing what you've neglected and forgot, or what's different about how you've got it set up now than what you're used to. So that is part of it as well. So, all right, so in Ezekiel, we're going to get a vision of a new temple, which is interesting because one of the things we had happen as we were going through Ezekiel is that Ezekiel made a visit. It describes it as being lifted and taken there. So was he physically taken there? Was he spiritually taken there? I don't think it makes a difference. But he saw the temple, and then he spoke to people in the temple, and he saw the presence of God leave the temple. And now the temple's been looted, and now we're going to get a vision of a new temple. So, Sam, I was able to fix your stalker issue, and probably by today I'll get an update on everything. For now, I'm living with your sister just for safety reasons, but soon you'll be able to do things normally. Oh, wow, that's good. Yeah, if you're able to take care of some safety issues and get things resolved, that's fantastic. Glad to hear that, Samarella. That is definitely a yay God. All right, so we're going to learn about this new temple. And if we think about things, we have different visions of temples. We have the Garden of Eden, which is essentially a temple because it's where God dwells on earth. Then we have the tabernacle where God dwells on earth. And then we have the first temple where Solomon built, where God dwells in Jerusalem on earth. And now we're having a vision here. We will have another temple that's built, and we'll have another vision in Revelation of heaven, which again is a temple, which is the dwelling place of God. So when we see these, we should have all of those others at some point in mind, or comparison, or thinking through how are these the same, how are they different, and sometimes what they're describing may sound different, but maybe it's describing the same thing. So, Sam, just hoping for everything to turn positive for me. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely want that. Excuse me. Speaking of temples, you found out something interesting yesterday. Oh, cool. We'll do shares. Subdue, welcome in. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on this very day, the hand of the Lord was on me and brought me there. So again, he's being brought to the temple. The very hand of God is bringing him there. And it is the 14th year after the city was struck down. So the city has been struck down. That is Jerusalem. Okay. Globstar. Is it Globstar? 91, welcome in. Life is hard, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I know it is. If you want to share, feel free to do that. Or were you commenting about Samarella? But either way, I don't disagree. Life is hard at times. Sam, you know how the Romans used the cross and the purpose of it, right? Yes. Yeah, we're here for you. Exactly, Samarella, we are here. Yes, so the cross was a form of capital punishment. It was meant to shame and humiliate anyone that dared come up against the power of Rome. I know we translate, it's translated as thief on the cross. It wasn't petty theft, okay? It was crimes against the nation is what you got crucified for. So they were most likely rebels who were crucified with Jesus, not just a petty thief, but, Yeah, I was just talking about life. Okay. Yep, sometimes it's just hard. I get that. It's been a hard year for... quite a few people in my family. So. Excuse me again, man. I'm not sure why the last week I have had the yawns so bad. I don't know what causes them. I mean, yes, lack of sleep or otherwise, but that seems contagious. Drug addiction and such. Oh, sorry to hear that, friend. Sorry to hear that. Those can be quite debilitating and difficult to overcome. Hope you are able to get some help you need. Sorry, it feels like I've got a random hair. I don't feel it, but when I took a drink, I did. I don't see it on my cup. Okay. Samarilla, I was studying a little about the Angkor Wat, not sure, and how it came to be, and some believe it's more than 20,000 years old and stuff. And I found this transcription that relates to the cross, Jerusalem, and Jewish community, even where there is no connection between them. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Glob. One thing that every religion philosophy can agree on is that we become what we think of. That sounds true. I don't know if every religion fully does that, but I get your sentiment. Yeah. If you focus on I'll give an example of a non-religious one that Emmett Smith said. He said, I don't go out into the game going, don't fumble the ball, don't fumble the ball, don't fumble the ball, because I would be saying fumble. And that would be what I would focus on. He said, instead, I go out there thinking, hold on to the ball, hold on to the ball, hold on to the ball. And then what I'm thinking is, I'm holding on to the ball. So even something like that, of the positive form of something versus the negative form of it. Yeah. If you focus on don't fumble, fumble is part of that, and then suddenly you fumble because you were focused on not fumbling as opposed to focused on a positive of hold on to the ball. So in that way, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just haven't studied every religion to know if they would all agree with that. That's all my thought was. Sam, there is no trading connection or anything, and the temple is part Hinduism and part Buddhism, but the inscriptions are related to similar inscriptions mentioned in the book of Exodus and Roman Greek culture, which is early Roman. That makes us question a lot of things. Yeah. Well, there are some of those things that show up globally, and we're not sure how to make a connection between things that show up globally, between cultures that we can't identify any kind of cross between. So pyramids are one of those structures that tend to migrate across continents and across cultures that had no connection with each other. Some megalithic monuments, along the lines of Stonehenge fall into that. And then certain symbols like the swastika. I mean, we think of it as being Nazi. It is a really, really old, ancient symbol all throughout the globe. There are cultures that use it. Not every culture used it, but cultures that are, in North America used it, in Central America, in South America, in Asia, in Europe. I mean, they're all over the place that used it. So, what I said is an Earl Nightingale quote. I did not know that. Okay, so you were quoting. Very nice, very nice. I'm never really good with quotes. I can't remember who said it, and I'm not always good at quoting. I'm more of a paraphrase person. So, all right. Well, let's jump back into our text and reading of the temple. So he's been taken in spirit, or he's been taken in person. It just says, the hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me there. So that's where he's in Israel. He's had this happen before. Let's see what happens. By divine vision, he brought me to the land of Israel and placed me on a very high mountain. Okay, so if we get in the New Testament with Jesus and the temptation, and he is brought to a very high mountain. Again, here we had, it sounded like the Lord brought me there. Then it says it was by a vision. And then, so we see the language goes one direction, then it says another, and they're interlinked, and I don't think we have to make a distinction. That's all I'm trying to say is it sounds like it's an actual physical thing. Then it says it's by vision. And so sometimes when we get just one, maybe there's an overlap. That's what I'm wondering. Sam, my question is, without knowing the existence of Greek culture, how are they able to come up with the exact same things they followed? And it was really precise too. And I first thought it was help from aliens, but then I was like, maybe we're underestimating our early civilizations. I would say we definitely underestimate ancient peoples, and we diminish them thinking they're less advanced than us. We always think that we're the most advanced people that ever lived. Yeah, I don't think that's true. We might be advanced in certain areas, but not in all areas. The other thing, and this is not from biblical sources, it's from extra biblical sources, but it connects with with Genesis 6. So in Genesis 6, it says that the Nephilim were there, and it says the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were good looking and desirable, and they took them. Well, if we read about that exchange of what happened with spiritual beings and with humanity in the book of Enoch, what it sounds like is that the spiritual world knew and understood stuff, and they exchanged knowledge with people in order to be able to procreate with people. And so if that is actually true, and it's in the book of Enoch, so it's extra biblical, it's trying to explain things we don't know. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it does kind of align with the idea of what's happening in Genesis 6. But then it also, boy, if you've got people from the spiritual realm, spiritual beings that are going around the globe and doing these things, and it's like, for instance, where did fire come from? Where did the knowledge of certain, like metallurgy suddenly pops up all around the globe? Where did that knowledge come from? So there's that thought of moving in that direction of doing it. The other interesting thing is, if we go towards the creation of the atomic bomb, we have people globally working towards the same kind of thing and the same kind of idea at the same time. I know we had communication and connection, but you're trying to do it in secret so that nobody knows you're trying to develop that weapon, but we simultaneously have people working on the same thing globally at the same time. I don't know how and why those things happen, but anyway, yeah, totally fascinating. You know, we're higher technology, you say, with medicine and science. I'm not sure. If we go back, there are like ancient burials where they were doing brain surgery. Like there are skulls that have, been cut into like millennia ago. And it's like, what were they doing and how are they doing that? Also, there are blocks that have what looks like drill presses into them. There's construction projects that we can't even do today that they did in the past. So I think technology can be higher and lower in different regards. And then if you look at, Eastern medicine, with acupuncture and other stuff, they seem to sometimes be more advanced than what we would call modern medicine. So, with medicinal things and understanding the plants around and what plants can do, I'm not sure we're more advanced. I don't know. I'm inclined to let's learn from everybody, and let's share. Let's engage with one another. Let's be open to things. So I don't believe I have all the answers. I guess is one way to say that. I don't have all the answers. Okay, so he's on a high mountain, and it was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, I saw a man whose appearance was like bronze, with a linen cord and a measuring stick in his hand. Okay, I'm trying to remember what the appearance like bronze means. I do not remember. Okay, bronze is symbolic at times, and I don't remember what bronze symbolizes. Sorry. He was standing in the gateway. The man said to me, "Son of man, watch closely, listen carefully, and pay attention to everything I show you. For you have been brought here so that I can show it to you. Tell the house of Israel everything you see." Okay, so that is why he is having this vision, is so that he can share it with the house of Israel, which would also be the reason why John has his vision in the New Testament. And one of the things that we need to think through, is he describing things from the standpoint of just what did they physically look like? Or, as we talked about before, is he talking about the function of them? So when he describes things, we're not supposed to think of a literal description of a physical thing. Instead, we're supposed to think of the function. So when we were talking about the living creatures and the wings that they had, or the four wheels that they had, or the eyes that they had all over. Okay, the four wheels represent being able to go in all four directions. So we don't have to think of literally having to have four wheels. We can think of four directions, the north, south, east, west. They're able to go everywhere. Eyes, which means nothing escapes their sight. They have eyes all over them. That means they can see everything. Nothing escapes. So let's see if he describes in function rather than in physical nature, because that's what it seems like he did before. Okay. I saw a wall all around the outside of the temple. It was a man's hand with a measuring stick, 10.5 feet long. Okay, what is the actual measuring stick with 6 cubits? Okay. 6 cubits and a handbreadth. Okay, so one of the reasons I do not like just converting them is we miss the measurement or the number 6. 6 would be the number of man. 6 would be the number of the days in creation. Okay, so maybe there's 6 and a handbreadth, so it's more than 6. It's more than the completeness of creation. Maybe that's what's in mind. He measured the thickness of the wall. 10.5 feet. Again, 6 and a handbreadth. And its height, 6 and a handbreadth. So we're getting the repetition. We get 3 times the 6 and a handbreadth. Then he went to the gate facing east. He climbed its steps and measured the threshold of the gate as 6 cubits and a handbreadth. So we keep getting the same measurement again. He measured the porch of the gate, and he got 14 feet, and its jambs got 3.5 feet. Okay, what do we have here? 8 cubits and 2 cubits. Okay. Sometimes there are 7, which is the number of completeness, and then 7 things that God, yet 8. So there's completeness, and then there's more. I don't know if we're supposed to think that here with 8 cubits. The porch of the gate, and the jambs are 2 cubits. I don't know if there's anything there that we're supposed to think of. So I'm just trying to think through. If he's having a vision, is there symbolism in the numbers? And if we go to just measuring them as a unit of measurement that we would know and understand, we would miss the symbolism. So I don't want to try to miss the symbolism. The porch of the gate inward. Okay. There were 3 alcoves, 3 again, on each side of the east gate. The 3 had the same measurement, and the jambs on either side had the same measurement. He measured the width of the entrance of the gateway, 10 cubits, and the length of the gateway was 13 cubits. There was a barrier in front of the alcove, 1 cubit. So we've got 10, 13, and 1. Okay. I don't know if any of those mean anything. The alcove was, again, 6 cubits on either side. He measured the gateway from the roof of one alcove to the roof of the other, and the width was 25 cubits. Okay, so if it would have been 24, it would have been like double the number of the tribes. So I'm not sure if 25 is supposed to... This is one of the things, like, sometimes you're using symbolism, sometimes you're not. So I don't want to overlook something if there's something in there that might be symbolic in the measurements. But anyway, from the entrance to the opposite side, he measured the porch at 105 feet high. Let me see what that is. 60 cubits. Okay. I don't know. Some of these numbers are just not repeated often to know if there's symbolism. If it had been 70 or 72, that would have meant something. But here at 60, I don't know. The gateway went all around the jamb of the courtyard. From the front of the entrance gate to the porch of the inner gate was 50 cubits. They were closed windows toward the alcove and toward their jambs within the gate all around, and otherwise from the porches There were windows all around the inside, and on each jamb were decorative palm trees. Okay, so here's the thing. He's not describing very much of it. Yeah, there were some 3 alcoves. Then they're all the same. He's like getting the big picture, the big scope of things, the grandeur of it, I think is what we're supposed to have in mind. The grandeur of the space. I don't know how this compares to the one Solomon built. That would be an interesting thing to do, is to compare them side by side. I don't know how it compares to the one Herod built. I do not know. And he brought me to the outer court. I saw chambers there and a pavement made from the court all around. 30 chambers faced the pavement. 30. Why 30? Again, like some of these numbers are not used often, so if there's symbolism, I just am not as familiar with it. The pavement was beside the gates, corresponding to the length of the gates. This was the lower pavement. Then he measured the width from before the lower gate to the front of the interior of the inner courts, 175 feet, or 100 cubits, from east on to the north. That is a large length. Not a football field, though. He measured the length and width of the gate of the outer court that faced north. Its alcoves, 3 on each side, and its jambs and porches had the same measurement as the first gate. Okay, so again, we're repeating these numbers again. 87.5 feet is 50 cubits. Length, 43 3/4 feet. 25 cubits. So you see some doubling there. Its windows, its porches, and its decorative palm branches had the same measurement as the gate that faced east. So again, here it is this scope that's being talked about. Yes, there's some decorative palm trees. Okay, but mostly we're getting just the scope of it. The size of it is the grandeur, maybe. 7 steps led up to it. There we go. 7, the number of completeness. It is completely elevated, or it takes 7 steps to perfect yourself on the way to it. Not sure. And its porch was in front of it, opposite the gate on the north, and on the east was a gate of the inner court. He measured the distance from gate to gate, 175 feet, or 100 cubits. Hey, welcome in, Lucis. Then he led me towards the south. I saw a gate on the south. He measured its jambs and its porches, and it had the same dimension as the others. Okay, so he tells us it has the same dimensions as the others, and then he repeats what the dimensions are. He's going on all 4 sides, it appears, and he's going to tell us the exact same thing. Why is he taking the time to do this? One, it could be the repetition that you would hear because you're listening to this orally and you're going, this is what it is. But also, if we go back and what we were hearing before, okay, was you're going to get it as a nation. You're going to get it as a nation. You're going to get it as a nation. And that's what you hear repeatedly. And then God is going to deliver you. God is going to deliver you. God's going to deliver you. So maybe we have this repetition because it's meant to be heard orally, and it's going to be ringing in your ear, the size and scope of it. So is it square? That's what he's saying? Well, on some level, yes, it is square, but I don't know if square is an important thing about it, if that makes sense. It's a repetition of it that you hear about things. So, I don't know. There were windows all around it and its porch, like the windows of the others, 87.5 feet long and 43.5 feet wide. See, and I think these probably ring better when it says 100 cubits long and 50 wide. Okay, so these are the entrances in. There were 7 steps going up. Its porches were in front of them. It had decorative palms on the jambs, and one on either side. The inner court had a gate toward the south. He measured it from gate to gate toward the south as 175 feet. So we're repeating. I think the Bible sometimes likes to do that because it doesn't want us to read over it and just keep moving forward. No, slow down. What's important about this? Then he brought me to the inner court by the south gate. He measured the south gate. It was the same dimension as the others. Its alcoves, its jambs, and its porches had the same dimensions as others. And there were windows all around its porches. And also, maybe this is a really emphasizing created order of things versus chaos. Might also be a thing. If you think of the realm of things where they are bad, they are chaotic, they do not have systems and structures, and this is adding order and systems and structure. I don't know. 100 cubits, and its width is 50 cubits. There were porches all around 50 cubits long, and set 44. I don't know what that, 8.5. I'm going to guess 10 cubits. No, 5 cubits. I went the wrong way. 5 cubits wide. 5. That's the first time we've had the number 5. What did we get that was new? Okay. So we got 25 and 5. So 5, if we're Torah, and 5 times 5 is 25. Is that what we're multiplying out? If we have 5, we have 50. We'd have Torah times 10. Okay, so maybe we're getting some symbolism in here. But there's the first change, is the 5. Its porches face the outer court, and the decorative trees were on its jambs. Its stairways had 8 steps. 8 steps. Others were 7. 7 being totality, completeness. 7 it had, but it had 8. It had one more. Why is this one different suddenly? And that's just it. Like, we're supposed to notice it, but what is it supposed to mean? I don't know that I'm confident in. Then he brought me to the inner court on the east side. He measured its gate, and it was the same dimensions as the others. Its alcoves, its jambs, and its porches had the same dimensions as the others. There were windows all around it, and its porches. It had a length of 100 cubits, and its width was 50 cubits. Its porches face the inner court. It had decorative palm trees on it, and its stairway had 8 steps. Oh, we're sticking with the 8 now. So we had 7, and now we switched to 8. Then he brought me to the north gate, and he measured it. It had the same dimensions as the others. Its alcoves, its jambs, its porches. It had windows all around. Its length was 100 cubits, and its width 50 cubits. Its jambs faced the outer court, and it had decorative palm branches on its jambs. Yeah, getting the palm branches up there. There we go, decorative palm branches. And its stairway was 8 steps. So we have... Where did we switch? We switched there. Earlier we had 7 steps here. 7 steps leading up to it. Then we switched to 8 steps. Then we switched to 8 steps. Now we've had 8 steps 3 times. Notice something repeats itself often 3 times. I don't know what we're supposed to be seeing there, but we're supposed to be paying attention. There was a chamber with its doors by the porch of the gate. There they washed the burnt offering. Okay, this is on the east side. This is the entrance that you're supposed to come into with your burnt offerings. If we go back to the tabernacle, we go back to the original temple, that's where you enter in order to go in, and the sun can come in. The rising sun can enter into the temple when you come in for worship. And now we've got the washing chambers. Okay, this sounds like we've seen this before. In the porch of the gateway were 2 tables, and on either side on which to slaughter the burnt offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering on the outside of the porch. As one goes up to the entrance of the north gate were 2 tables, and on the other side of the porch of the gate were 2 tables. 4 tables were on each side of the gate. 8 tables of which to sacrifice were to be slaughtered. So you've got sets of 2, 2, 2, and 2. The 4 tables for the burnt offering were of carved stone. Okay, need to get the measurements here. 1.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1 cubit high. Oh, interesting. They're going with 21 inches here. For a cubit. Often I've seen, so there's different cubits that are used, okay? So they might be looking at the time frame of when Ezekiel's written in captivity. They might be using a Babylonian cubit, and maybe that's 21 inches high. I'm more familiar, I think it might be the Egyptian cubit that's 18 inches. So if you don't know what a cubit is, that's measuring from your elbow to the tip of your finger. That would be how you would measure things. Well, just like a foot, we understand what a foot is. Well, a foot isn't always 12 inches. One person at one time had 12 inches for a foot, and that's what we came and stuck with. A cubit at one time probably was the measurement of an official, or was the king, the pharaoh, and that became the measurement from that person. At some point, they would have just used that, and it had been accurate enough if one guy's was 19, if one was 20. But if you start going from 18 to 21, now we gotta standardize a measurement here. The same way if one person's foot is 11 inches and another is 10, and you know, but if you go from 9 to 12, wait a minute, now we've got too much distance and difference. So let's mark this off. I didn't know that dates grow in palm-like trees. Yes, they're often called date palms, is what they're called, Luces. There'll be a date palm, is what they'll refer to them as. There's coconut palms. There are date palms. I want to say, is there fig palms too? Maybe, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember if fig is also on a palm. I might be wrong on the figs. But there's several kinds of palms. They would put the instruments that they used to slaughter the burnt offerings and the sacrifices on them. There were hooks 3 inches long fastened to the house all around, and on the table was the flesh of the offering. Okay, 3 inches, a handbreadth. Oh, so a handbreadth is either that, might be a handbreadth is that way. Not sure if it's that full hand or if it's like that. I'm not sure. You were thinking only coconuts, yeah. I think that's common because that's what we use most often in like Hollywood images of stuff. On the outside of the inner court were chambers for the singers of the inner court, one on the side of the north gate facing south, and the other side of the south gate facing north. He said to me, the chamber that faces south is for the priests who keep charge of the temple. So the priests come from the north chambers. And the chambers that face north is for the priest who keeps charge of the altar. So if you're doing the altar, you come from the south. If you are in charge of the temple, you come from the north. Okay. These are the descendants of Zadok, from the descendants of Levi, who may approach the Lord to minister to him. He measured the court as a square, 175 feet long, 175 feet wide. The altar was in front of the temple. Okay, so that's 100 cubits by 100 cubits. That's a much more round number than 175. So if we're doing 100 cubits, 100 might be symbolic and not meant to be literal. Might be more functional, like it is a large dwelling in a large open area. Then he brought me to the porch of the temple and measured the jambs of the porch as 5 cubits. Yeah, see, 5 means a whole lot more here. The jambs are 5 cubits. Oh, I should be thinking Torah here. I should be thinking the 5 books of Moses. And the width was 24.5 feet. The LXX reads 14 cubits. See the following note. Okay. Or sidewalls. The translation follows the LXX. The Masoretic text reads the width of the gate was 3 cubits. The omission due to haplography. Okay. So they think it's repetition or an issue there of something going on. Uncle Teddy! Thanks for the biddies, friend. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love, friend. Hope you're having a blessed day. Okay, the sides were 5.5 feet or 3 cubits on each side, so that's why they think there's a problem there. The length of the porch was 35 feet or 20 cubits, and the width was 11 cubits. Not sure 11 is a number of any significance. Steps led up to it, and there were pillars besides the jamb on either side. Steps led up to it. Oh, okay. I'm like, how many steps? The LXX says 10 steps. So if we have 5 that is representing Torah, and we have 10, this is going to be the 10 commandments. So if our brains are thinking in terms of approaching God, and we're getting references to 5 Torah and 10 commandments, 10 steps, yeah, I would think that would be a way to think about that. Okay. Then he brought me to the outer sanctuary and measured the jambs. Sorry, I know I'm doing a lot of converting the numbers here, but I want to, like I said, see if there's any symbolism in there. The jambs were 6 cubits. Oh, the number of man, the number of days of creation, not counting the 7th day that he rested. The width of the entrance was 10 cubits, and the sides of the entrance, okay, here's where we have the problem again. 3 cubits, or 9 feet. He measured the length of the outer sanctuary as 70 feet. Oh, that's interesting. 40 cubits. 40. 40 would be the days of wandering in the desert. 40 is a number of testing, and its width would be 20 cubits. Okay, so we're getting things that aren't square when we have some of these things. They went to the inner sanctuary and measured its jambs. Okay, I'm just going to see if these numbers matched. No, the jamb was 3.5. The entrance at 10.5 feet, and the width at 12.5. Yeah, so 17.5. These are different. These are not repeating the numbers. So why are they different? But we have like the Masoretic text, which would be the Hebrew copy, and the LXX would be the Greek copy, and there's some discrepancies, it seems. Then he measured the length at 35 feet, and its width at 35 feet. So this one is square. The inner sanctuary and the outer sanctuary. So the inner sanctuary is square. The outer is not. The numbers are different. Okay. He said to me, this is the most holy place. So we've got the most holy place is cubic. For some reason, my brain is going to the Borg cube is like what I'm picturing here of it's this high by this, and it's a cube. Then he measured the walls of the temple, 10.5 feet, and its width of the chamber was 7 feet. So, again, we have 6 and 4. All around the temple, the side chambers were in 3 stories, one above the other, 30 in each story. That's how many chambers there are. So we have 30 chambers, 30 chambers, 30 chambers. So it is a 3-stacked building with 30 chambers in each. They were offset in the wall all around to serve as supports for the side chambers as that the supports were not in the wall of the temple. The side chambers surrounded the temple were wider at each successive story. Okay, so the walls are thicker at the bottom, and as they go up, they narrow. So if so the space between them gets wider and wider as you go up because the wall that's supporting it gets narrower. Let me see if I can find an image here to show you. I'm just trying to show, I just want to find one that will show that walls. I've seen one before that was really pretty good, showing how that would work. Here we go. Okay, so if you look here, you can see that the chamber, the wall here going up, the support, the wall is bigger at the bottom. It gets narrower as it goes up successively, and the rooms get larger at the top as the walls get narrower. Here, though, it's trying to hold that the inside is level. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen it done that way. I've seen it done with the walls are progressively narrower on both sides. Here, they're saying one side they kept it straight. That's interesting. And this would be to help push the load down and out would be what you would need to do. So like pyramid, if you think of a step pyramid is what they are doing, is the image there. Okay. Hope that makes sense. We measured the walls of the temple and each side all around the temple. The side chambers were 3 stories. Oh, that we just did that. Each side chamber surrounded the temple were wider at each successive story. For the structure surrounding the temple went up story by story all around the temple. For this reason, the width of the temple increased as it went up, and one went up from lowest story to the highest by way of the middle story. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that's trying to describe there, but here, because it says for this reason, the width of the temple increased as it went up, that's why I've imagined the center also doing that. Here, it seems like that vision they were showing was, yes, overall, but not in the center. But I've envisioned and seen it usually in the center. Artsy, welcome in. We're in Ezekiel's temple. I saw that the temple had raised platform all around. The foundation of the side chamber was a full measuring stick. Full measuring stick is a reed that was 6 cubits high. The width of the wall on the side was 5 cubits. So we have 6, the number of man, 5, the number of the Torah. And the open area between the side chamber and the temple, the chamber of the court was 20 cubits in width, all around the temple on every side. There were entrances from the side chambers toward the open area, one entrance toward the north, another entrance toward the south. The width of the open area was 5 cubits all around. Or ziggurat. Oh, yeah. That sounds like an upside-down pyramid or a ziggurat. Yeah. Well, actually, what you have, if I go back to the image here, usually what I've seen is like the wall here would be duplicated going, so the wall is wider here on the bottom, and then narrower as you go to the top. That they usually duplicated this. So yeah, it would look like a ziggurat wall structure as it went up, the 10 cubits at a time for each layer, and then the walls of it that's going on in there. And one thing that we had, if you were paying attention, sorry, wrong screen there. There are the wall around the whole temple complex. There's a gate from north, south, east, and west, but once you are inside of it, you enter. You don't enter from every side. You have a north and a south entrance into one region there that's going on. And I don't think that there is any west entrance at all. So if you entered the complex surrounding the inner temple from the temple complex, you got to walk all the way around. You got to walk all the way around. Gate 0 does a pretty good job, I think, of trying to. But they're not trying to do this temple. They're doing Herod's temple. So, the buildings. The building that was facing the temple court at the west side was 122 and a half feet. What is that? 70 cubits. Ooh, 70. One for every nation. A cubit, maybe. The wall of the building was 5 cubits. Torah again. Thick all around, and its length was 90 cubits. I don't know why 90. Why 90 and not 100? Why 90 here? I'm just trying to think if I can come up with a reason. I don't know why 90, but it stands out. Something's different. Why 90 when there's so many hundreds? I think that's our first 90, so does it mean something? Then he measured the temple at 100 cubits long, the courtyard of the temple and the building and its wall 100 cubit long, and he also width of the front of the temple of the courtyard on the east as 100 cubits. Okay. So this sounds like it's a cube. 100 by 100 by 100. And 100, I think, is being symbolic here. Then he measured the length of the building facing the courtyard at the rear of the temple with its galleries on either side as 100 cubits. I feel like if we were really trying to draw out some of these numbers, they wouldn't fit within each other. They would not fit within each other as we're trying to measure some of these things out and draw them out. I feel like some would not fit. So that's again why I think we might have some of these numbers are symbolic and supposed to be the grandeur image of things, not having to be literal. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing some things, and the description, I'm picturing it wrong of the inner and outer. I don't know. I've never sat and tried to just fully draw this out. I know lots of people have, and it just... I'm more interested if there's symbolism than if this is actual blueprints, if that makes sense. What's the meaning of this? Why are you spending so much time? Why are you telling me all of this? Is this so that when it gets built, we will know if we've made a replica or not of the one that Ezekiel saw? When we get to Ezra and Nehemiah, that would be a good comparison to see, oh, is it built? The interior of the outer sanctuary and the porch of the court, as well as the threshold, narrow windows and galleries all around on 3 sides facing the threshold, were paneled with wood all around. Oh, we're finally getting some description here. We had palm tree decorations. That was minimal. And windows, yeah. But we haven't been getting decorations. Now suddenly we're going to maybe get into that. From the ground up to the window, now the windows were covered for the space above the entrance to the inner room, and on the outside, and on all the walls in the inner room and the outside by measurement. It was made with cherubim and decorative palm trees, with the palm tree between each cherubim. Okay, so you have a palm tree and a cherubim. A palm tree and a cherubim. Okay, so now do not think of cherubim and cherubs like, floating little angel babies. Okay, I know that's what we get that from medieval Renaissance artistic. It's not. We should be thinking cherubim as what was described with winged creatures that would be more like a sphinx. Throne guardians would be what we should come to mind, not floating flying angels. Okay. With its palm tree between each cherub. Each cherub had 2 faces, a human face toward the palm tree, and on the other side, a lion's face towards the palm tree on the other side. Okay, so sometimes faces are function, and sometimes they're literal. Not sure which this is. It does sound like you could do this literally. You could draw one face on one side, facing one way, one face on the other, facing the other. Okay, you might be able to do that. They were carved on the whole temple all around, from the ground to the area above the entrance. Cherubim and decorative palm trees were carved on the walls of the outer sanctuary. The doorposts of the outer sanctuary were square. In front of the sanctuary, one doorpost looked just like the other. Okay, thinking of this, we did have cherubim, I believe. I don't think it was seraphim. I think it was cherubim when we had other temple. We had Solomon's temple built, but we had pomegranates that were there, and I believe we had almond blossoms that were there. So we're getting I don't know what a decorative palm is per se. If it just means it's one without fruit or something else. I'm not too worried about that in symbolism, because I don't know what it would mean even if it was a different kind of palm tree versus another. Okay. The doorposts of the outer sanctuary were square. In front of the sanctuary, one doorpost looked just like the other. The altar was... Let's get to the footnotes. 3 cubits high, and its length 2 cubits. Its corners, its length, and its walls were of wood. He said to me, "This is the table that is before the Lord." The outer sanctuary and the inner sanctuary each had a double door. Each of the doors had 2 leaves, 2 swinging leaves, 2 leaves for one door, 2 leaves for the other. So this feels like a bifold door. That's interesting. On the doors of the outer sanctuary were carved cherubim and palm trees, like those carved on the walls. And there was a canopy of wood on the front of the outside porch. There were narrow windows and decorative palm trees on either side of the side walls of the porch. This is what the side chambers of the temple and the canopies were like. Okay. We're spending a lot of time describing a temple. Why are we doing that? Okay, let me put it a different way. Why would God give a vision and tell Ezekiel to write down in such length the details of a temple unless we get to the end and it is supposed to be built? Like, when you return to the land, here's how you're to rebuild the temple. So if we go to Mount Sinai and Moses is up there, and then Moses builds the tabernacle, it says, according to the pattern he was showed. So maybe we have up on Mount Sinai, while he's there for 40 days, the vision and the description and the layout of the tabernacle, but we just don't get it mentioned there. We get it mentioned later when he's describing it. But he says, according to the pattern he was showed. So here we have a pattern being showed. Later, hopefully, they'll be building the temple according to the pattern that Ezekiel saw. We'll see what happens. Excuse me. Yawns again today. Then he led me out of the inner court toward the north and brought me to the chamber that was opposite the courtyard and opposite the building on the north. Its length was, let's get our footnotes so we can figure out the cubits, 100 cubits on the north side, and its width was 50 cubits. Opposite the 20 cubits that belonged to the inner court, and opposite the pavement that belonged to the outer court. Gallery faced gallery in the 3 stories. In front of the chamber was a walkway on the inner chamber 10 cubit width at a distance of 1 cubit. But the there is a discrepancy that reads 100 cubits. That's a problem. Yeah. And their entrance were on the north. Now the upper chambers were narrower. Interesting. Why are the upper chambers narrower? Because of the galleries took more space. Oh, okay. So the chambers get smaller because galleries get bigger. I gotcha. And I'm thinking a gallery might be for viewing. Like viewing. If we go back to our image here. No, you wouldn't be able to view if there's... Well, there's windows, though. There's windows. So maybe you could view in these sections here. These viewing areas get bigger, and the chambers are here. Would be perhaps what that is doing. Okay. Lost my place. Oh, there it is. Upper chambers were narrow because of the galleries from them than the lower and the middle chamber of the building. For they were in 3 stories and had no pillars like the pillars of the courts. Therefore the upper chambers were set back from the ground more and than the lower and the middle ones. As for the outer walls of the side of the chamber toward the outer court facing the chamber, it was 100 cubits long. Is that right? 100 cubits? No, 50 cubits. I went the wrong way. I got to remember cubits need a smaller number. For the chamber on the outer and were 50 cubits long, while those facing the temple were 100 cubits long. Below the chamber was a passage on the east side as one enters from the outer court. At the beginning of the wall of the court towards the south, facing the courtyard and the building, were chambers like those on the north, with a passage in front of them. The chambers that were there, the south, were the same length and the width as those on the north, and had matching exits and entrances and arrangements. There was an opening at the head of the passage in front of the corresponding wall toward the east when one enters. Then he said to me, the north chambers and the south chambers that face the courtyard are holy chambers, where the priest who approach the Lord will eat the most holy offerings. Okay, so here's the dining room. There they will place the most holy offerings, the grain offerings, the sin offering, the guilt offerings, because the place is holy. When the priests enter, then they will not go out from the sanctuary to the outer court without taking off their garments in which they minister, for these are holy. They will put on their garments. Then they will go near the place where the people are. So you're in the inner, you put your stuff on, you've got your gear, your garbs, your attire, you do the work there. You don't go outside with this. You don't just go parading around town and say, hey, look at me. No, you only dress that way to do the work. Now when he had finished measuring the interior of the temple, he led me out by the gate that faces east and measured all around. He measured the east side with a measuring stick. 500 cubits by the measuring stick. He measured the north side, 5, the number of Torah, times 100, with a measuring stick. He measured the south side, 500, with a measuring stick. He turned to the west side and measured it 500 cubits by the measuring stick. And again, the measuring stick was a reed. He measured it on all 4 sides. It had a wall around it, 500 cubits and 500 cubits to separate the holy and common places. Okay, so the whole temple is separated meaning holy, set apart, common meaning where everything else is. the non-set apart. Then he brought me to the gate that faced towards the east. I thought you were just there. Oh, he was at the east gate. Now he's at the gate that faces east. Would this be the west gate? I'm not sure. Not sure. It sounds like it's the same place to me. I saw the glory of the Lord of Israel coming from the east. Ooh. So he witnessed when he was there last time, the temple that God's glory left, and now he sees it coming. The sound was like that of a rushing water. Sound like Pentecost. And the earth radiated his glory. It was like the vision I saw when I came to destroy the city, and the vision I saw by the Kebar River. I threw myself face down. The glory of the Lord came into the temple by way of the gate that faces east. Then a wind, breath, or spirit, could be, maybe it was a spirit, lifted me up, the Holy Spirit, and brought me to the inner court. Could be a wind. They've been consistent with wind because of the lack of direct, like the, in their article. I watched the glory of the Lord fill the temple. Well, east, yes, east is where, and north is where, not usually evil, but armies come against you from there. But I think, great point, Artsy. I think we have something else coming here. Why would it be coming from the east? Because when he watched it leave, he then later witnessed it. That's what he said, I saw at the Kebar River. So when he is in the land, he saw the glory of God. So the glory of God left the temple in Jerusalem. He did see the presence of the glory of God while he was in the land, so that the people would know that the presence of God was in the land with them in exile. So here, coming from the east, I think represents the coming of God out of exile with his people and returning to the temple. So they are in the east, where his presence is among them, and he's returning from it. But we also can think of it as conquering army that is coming to conquer the land, and God is coming from the east as the conquering army to reclaim his land. So we can pull all the metaphors, and east is still not a problem here. If we're thinking of it as the conquering army comes from the east, we're in exile in the east, where his presence has been among us. It just doesn't work to say evil comes from it, but it's usually destruction or conquering comes from north or comes from east. The army that invades comes from those. So symbolically, I think it still works. But thanks for bringing that up. Good point. How you doing, by the way? Hope you're having a wonderful December. Wonderful Advent season. Okay, we got the glory of the Lord. I heard someone speaking to me from the temple while the man was standing beside me. He said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne, and the place from the soles of, and the place for the soles of my feet, where I will live among the people of Israel forever. Okay, so the temple is the place for my throne and the soles of my feet. What is that? Oh, just references to other places. You're going to be preaching this Sunday. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, if that's live that we could watch, share a post. I'd love to check that out. And if it's not, a VOD later would be great to check out, friend. I'd love to watch that. So the feet where I live among my people. The house of Israel will no longer profane my holy name. So this is a reversal. Earlier, they were profaning his holy name. So he brought his name out of the land and out of the place because they were profaning his name. They were not having it set apart. Alice, good morning, stranger. Hope you are doing well. Hope you're having a blessed day. Neither they nor their kings by their spiritual prostitution or by the pillars of their kings set up when they die when they place their threshold by my threshold and their doorpost by my doorpost, with only the wall between me and them, they profane my holy name by the abominable deeds they committed. So I consume them in my anger. Now they must be put away. They must put away their spiritual prostitution and the pillars of their kings far from me, and then I will live among them forever. Oh, okay. So when the sermon's over, that's where it'll be? Church of the Brethren. Very cool. What are you preaching on? Okay, so they went into exile, and part of it was the setting themselves up. You're preaching on the exile? Ooh, that's fascinating. They went into exile, and in a sense, you have decreation of the land. Decreation of the land because it's destroyed. Chaos is what is going to replace the order that the people of God were supposed to have over the land. And now, part of the problem is being addressed, and to make clear, don't mess up again. As for you, son of man, describe the temple to the house of Israel so that, okay, we're finally getting the so that. Why do we have 3 chapters describing the details of it? And I mean, there's length and width. We didn't get any other details. Really. So that they will be ashamed of their sins and measure the pattern. Okay, there is a pattern here. The numbers are to measure a pattern, and they're to be ashamed of their sins. So we're getting the description of something glorious, and their temple is destroyed. So in comparison, yeah, they should be ashamed. They lost the temple because they didn't do it right. When they are ashamed of all that they have done, make known to them the design of the temple, its pattern, it exists. It exists. Its exits and entrances, and its whole design, all its statutes, its inner design, and its laws. Write it all down in their sight, so that they may observe its entire design and all its statutes, and do them. Okay, so you're to write this down in their sight. So he's having the vision, and now he's got to remember everything, and then he's got to go write it down in their sight. Now, maybe he wrote it down as he was seeing it, and then he's making a copy of it in their sight. I'm not sure. But anyway, he is to go in front of them and write this all out so that they see that he is writing the words of God out. So when he gives it to them, they saw he wrote it with his own hand, and it's about the temple, so that they can believe that God will restore and recreate what has been taken away because of their sins. But they also are to be ashamed of their sins before they get this, is what it sounds like. So they'll be ashamed of their sins and measure the pattern. When they are ashamed of all that they have done, make known the design of the temple. So they get to know the design of the temple when they have turned from their sins. This is the law of the temple. The entire area on top of the mountain all around will be most holy. Indeed, this is the law of the temple. I'm not sure what it's referring to. What is it meaning, the law of the temple? I'm not used to that phrase. Let's go pull up Blue Letter. I don't have this open in my tab, sorry. And we are in Ezekiel 43. Sorry, just the law of the temple is striking me. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Okay. This is the law of the house. Okay, it's probably just straightforward, but it's This is Torah Bayit. Yeah. Law of the house. What is the law of the house? Which part? That's what I'm struggling with. Which part of this is the law of the house? The description? Is the description the law of the house? Or is the law of the house that you don't get to know what the house is until you turn away from your sins and return to God and you're ashamed of your sins? Is that the law of the house? Which part is the law of the house? But the whole thing is to be holy and set apart. Is that the part that's the law of the house? Is that the whole thing is holy and set apart? Don't defile the temple mount again. Maybe that's the law of it. I'm not sure. And these are the measures of the altars. Its base. Oh, we're going to get stuff for the altars now. Now that we've got the temple, 1 cubit high and 1 cubit wide. And its border was 1 span on its edge. So a span versus a handbreadth. Maybe a span is this and a handbreadth is this. That's what I'm thinking as far as the way that they're marking those off and converting them. From the base of the ground to the lower edge is 2 cubits, and its width is 1 cubit, and from the smaller ledge to the larger is 4 cubits, and the width is 1 cubit. And the altar of the hearth is 4 cubits, and from the altar of the hearth, 4 horns projecting upward. Okay, so you have a horn going to be on each of the corners of the altar. This is what we've seen before. This is the pattern that we know. Horns represent power. Horns are the things that you can grasp onto to, plead for sanctuary and mercy. That happened before, so we're getting a restoration and a recreation. I like that image, or that way of saying it. A recreation of the temple. So new creation is coming. Now the altar hearth is a perfect square, 12 cubits long and 12 cubits wide. The ledge is 14 cubits long and 14 cubits wide, so 2 more cubits, another 6 feet. The border, they only have 3 feet. Oh well. The border around it is half. Is it half a cubit? Yeah, half a cubit, and the surrounding base is 1 cubit. Its steps face east. Then he said to me, so we have the altar now. He said to me, Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says. These are the statutes of the altar. On the day it is built, to offer up burnt offerings on it and to sprinkle blood on it, you will give a young bull for a sin offering to the Levitical priest, who is a descendant from Zadok, who approached me to minister to me. Declares the sovereign Lord, you will take some of the blood of the place it on the 4 horns of the altar, and on the 4 corners of the ledge, and on the border all around. You will purify it and make atonement for it. So you are setting it apart. You are making it right. You will also take the bull of the sin offering, and it will be burned in the appointed place in the temple outside the sanctuary. On the 2nd day. So we now have the coronation of the temple. On the 2nd day, you will offer a male goat without blemish for a sin offering. Then you will purify the altar just as they purified it with the bull. When you have finished purifying it, you will offer an unblemished young bull and an unblemished ram from the flock. So we have a goat, we have a bull, and we have a ram. You will present them before the Lord, and the priest will scatter salt on them and offer them as a burnt offering to the Lord. So it's interesting. We got to go back to Leviticus and study that of why some have salt. It is likely that the salt was used for sacrificial meals. Oh, we've only got 2 occasions there. I thought there was one in Leviticus as well. Do the Pharisees also do this or something? Oh, no, the Pharisees would not be able to do this, Balaam. In Jesus' time, no. Only the priest could do this. Only the priest could do this. And Pharisees are not priests. So in order to be a priest, you had to be a Levite, but all Levites are not priests. And to be a priest, here it is saying you need to be from the descendants not just of Aaron, but also Zadok. So when we get to New Testament time, they're going to be descendants of Zadok, and they're going to be priests who will do all of this stuff. So it is not going to be the Pharisees. The Pharisees are in the synagogue system, not the temple system. So they are in the teaching of the Torah system, but they're not doing the sacrificial system. So different groups of people. Priests are descendants of Aaron, and then they're descendants of Levi, that tribe. So you could have had a Pharisee that might have been a Levi, but probably not. They would have been from the other tribes. RT Bible Nerd None, the jump contest. All right. Yeah, we don't do this anyway. No, there's no temple. There is no temple since 70 AD, so there have been no sacrifices. However, as we're describing this, if a new temple was built, something along these lines to inaugurate and consecrate the temple would look likely to be like this. Okay. When the prescribed period is over on the 8th day, and thereafter the priest will offer up on the altar your burnt offerings and your peace offerings. I will accept them, declares the Lord. Oh, sorry, I missed something. Yeah, for 7 days. No. So for 7 days, you're going to do these 3 things. So you first have the inauguration of the altar, and then you're inaugurating the temple after the inauguration. So you have 1 day for the altar, you have 7 days for the temple. That's a total of 8 days, 7 days for completely doing the temple. And then people's individual sacrifices can now begin. Balaam also does this kind of thing. Well, Balaam is doing divination, not sacrifices, from what I've seen. Maybe he does offer sacrifices, but divination would be more along the lines of you kill an animal and you look at the insides of the animal that would give you information about stuff. So, like, you open up birds and you look at the contents of their stomach, or goats or other things, and I don't know how it all works. Frankly, I don't care. No plans to do it, but it would in regards to that, these are sacrifices designating and spreading blood and setting things apart to make them right and holy. He's trying to learn secret knowledge, so not the same. Unless he was sacrificing to appease a god that he was trying to get knowledge from, then I could say maybe it was similar. Then he brought me back the way of the outer gate of the sanctuary that faces east, but it was shut. The Lord said to me, "This gate will be shut, it will not be opened, and no one will enter by it. For the Lord, the God of Israel, has entered by it. Therefore it will remain shut. Only the prince may sit in it to eat a sacrificial meal before the Lord. He will enter by way of the porch of the gate and will go out by the same way." Ooh, that is interesting. That is interesting. So God entered from the east gate. The east gate is to be shut up. and no one is to use it but the prince, meaning the king. The king may come to dwell and eat a sacrificial meal. So if the king is making a sacrificial meal, he can enter by way of the porch of the gate, and he can eat the meal before the Lord and exit the same way. Then he brought me by way of the north gate to the front of the temple. As I watched, I noticed the glory of the Lord filling the Lord's temple, and I threw myself face down. Look at how often Ezekiel sees God's glory, and boom, the response is throw yourself face down. So, when we often see the presence of angels, and people see angels, and then they throw themselves down to worship, should be thinking the same thing there. The same thing, that, oh, the glory of God's presence is there, and that's what we have. I'm just looking and going, we didn't have an ad break. That's interesting. That must be not connected or something right now. Oh, well. Not worried about it. The Lord said to me, pay attention, watch closely, and listen carefully to everything I tell you concerning all the statutes of the Lord's house and all its laws. Pay attention to the entrance of the temple and all the exits of the sanctuary. Say to the rebellious, to the house of Israel, this is what the sovereign Lord says, enough of all your abominable practices, O house of Israel, when you bring foreigners, those uncircumcised in heart and in flesh. Notice heart comes first. Into my sanctuary you desecrate it, even my house. When you offer my food, the fat of the blood, you have broken my covenant by all your abominable practices. You have not kept charge of my holy things, but you have assigned foreigners to keep charge of my sanctuary for you. This is what the sovereign Lord says. No foreigner who is uncircumcised in heart and flesh among all the foreigners who are among the people of Israel will enter into my sanctuary. Okay. So they were practicing the other religions and set up other gods in the temple. And the uncircumcised in heart means they're not following after God. Okay? So it's not just a matter of they didn't go through they were faithful Yahweh followers, but they just didn't want to get a snip. It wasn't that. Yes, prostrate, face down in front of the glory of God. So we're going to make sure the temple is what it's supposed to be. Set apart, sacred, holy. You only come in when you have a relationship with God, when you are approaching God, when you are offering to God. But the Levites who went far from me, straying off from me after the idols when Israel went astray, will be responsible for their sin. Yet they will be ministers in my sanctuary, having oversight at the gates of the temple and serving the temple. They will slaughter the burnt offerings and the sacrifices for the people, and they will stand before them to minister to them, because they used to minister to them before their idols and became a sinful obstacle to the house of Israel. Consequently, I have made a vow concerning them, declares the sovereign Lord, that they will be responsible for their sin. They will not come near me to serve as priests, nor will they come near any of my holy things, the things that are most sacred. They will bear their shame of the abominable deeds they have committed, yet I will appoint them to keep charge of the temple, all its service, and all that will be done in it. So this is a group, not individual. So the Levites are still the tribe that does this. Yes, they screwed up. They done messed up, Aaron. And they have to pay for it. And by paying for it doesn't mean they don't get to return to it, because that's the duty assigned to them. Balaam. Deuteronomy 12:30. Beware lest you be ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed before you, and lest you inquire after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods, that I also may do likewise? Yeah, this is literally me sometimes. Yeah, I think we all have that tendency. We look around and we think that other people have it better, that are just doing whatever they want, and it's like, no, it's not true. It's not true. It might be and seem delightful for a short period of time, but I really don't think they're better off. But yeah, this is what they were doing. This is what they were warned of. Exactly. That's what now they're getting warned to do not return to what you had done that you were warned not to do in the first place, to do like the other nations and serve their gods. But the Levitical priests, the descendants of Zadok, who kept the charge of my sanctuary when the people of Israel went astray from me, will approach me to minister to me. They will stand before me to offer me the fat and the blood, declares the sovereign Lord. So Zadok did not stray from God. So only his descendants. Was a descendant of Aaron through Eleazar, who served as a priest during David's reign. Okay. They will enter my sanctuary and approach my table to minister to me. They will keep my charge. So we had one remnant of all of the priests of Aaron, and they're going to be the only priests now. When they enter the gate of the inner court, they must wear linen garments. They must not have any wool on them. When they minister in the inner gates of the court and in the inner temple, linen turbans will be on their heads, and linen undergarments will be around their waist. They must not bind themselves with anything that causes sweat. Okay, that's interesting. Do not sweat, so do not overheat. When they go to the outer court to the people, they must remove the garments they were ministering in and place them in the holy chambers. They must put on outer garments so that they will not transmit holiness to the people with their garments. Oh, that is an interesting phrase. I did not remember that. The similar concept of transmitting holiness, see Exodus and Leviticus, and comparable laws are found. I did not remember that. Okay. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Okay, that doesn't sound like transmitting holiness. The fire instance there. Okay. But we get that idea later. We get that idea later that the holiness of Jesus, the holiness of the disciples are able to be transmitted as they go. Even Peter's shadow has healing in it. So that would be holiness being erupting and going forth, I would say. Probable works of Satan? Well, no, I think it's you want to keep the things holy, separate, and set apart. So you don't want to profane them and bring them outside. Bobby B! Hey, welcome in! Onesimus Prime! Hey, let me find my raid song here, everybody. Welcome in, Bobby B! Thanks for coming in with the raid. Onesimus Prime, good to see ya. Illogical 777, welcome in. Lucky Lockish, welcome in, friend. God bless you, brother. You too, friend. I haven't caught your stream in a while. You're usually, well, sometimes you're streaming this time, but not always on when I'm on. So, or when I'm awake, I should say. Welcome in, everybody. So, you can see that's an old setup. I got lots of hats. I've got fish. I did some art. That was for mental health awareness that I was doing that. So we put green ribbons on there for mental health awareness, and then we painted it, and you can see that mental health plays a role in people's lives. And so thank you, everybody, for coming in. Oh, thank you for the gifted sub to Bobby B. Appreciate it. Thanks for the follow. My alerts. Okay, so I'm on a new computer. I don't have all my alerts and sounds, and some reason it doesn't seem like they are working today. So sorry, everyone. And I got to get my Stream Deck set up, and I don't have that. But Oh, well, not the one I wanted. I wanted to welcome you all in. So, let me see if I miss. You freaking love the hat collection. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. There's the hat collection. At least a good portion of them. So, if I missed any of the alerts, I'm sorry. Like I said, I've got a new rig set up here. New computer, and I'm trying to get it going, and it doesn't always have everything ready to go, but I have been a pastor for over 20 years, and I stream reading in the Bible Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, from about 7:45 until 10 or 11, depending on the day and what other things are going on. So we're reading through the Bible in a year. I do have fish as well, and I do have a fish channel, but let me just show you a few of them. And one of my cams on the new rig is not working, so you can see the snow on Lake Superior there, and guppies in the upper left, and some koi are in the right top there, and I have another cam on the bottom as well. And I have a pond outside, which is currently shut down for the winter, but I do have a cam in the pond to be able to see the fish underneath. So I can show you that when we raid out to my other channel later. So yes, new computer. I know it's, all of the get it set. Well, it's not a new computer. It's a used computer that is new to me. Transfer everything over, get everything set up, forget that you didn't have something set up, and then realize the problems when you go live. You know how that goes. So, DJ Courageous Morning, welcome in. Hope everyone is well. Thank you, friend. Balaam, speaking Satan, I don't think I have ever seen God speaks of demons or Satan to his people in Old Testament yet, I guess. Oh, there are passages that talk about it throughout, but it's also not particularly just focused on Satan. It is going after other gods, which would be the other spiritual beings, which in the New Testament would just be referred to as demons. So it's a language shift is partly what that is. So you're only on Joshua 6 now. Yeah, so if you have the focus on following after other gods, you could see that as following after demons. What Balaam, I think, is channeling to those other gods that when we get to the New Testament, we just call them demons. So that would be it, Balaam. There's probably a bunch of other stuff I should tell you and talk about. But hey, but I just want to ask everybody coming over from Bobby B, what is one thing that you love about Bobby B? What is the thing that makes her a great person to hang out and be with? If you will share that, I love hearing how other people appreciate others. And Bobby, thank you for coming in. If you're not able to stick around and you need to head off to bed or whatever else, do whatever you need to. And I appreciate you being here and trusting me with your community. I hope you are doing well, and that as you approach Christmas, you have a great time. She has a pure heart. Aw, Lucky, that is a great description. Oh, yes, Artsy giving some other insight there. Balaam's snakes, serpents, and dragons are symbolic of the foreign gods. Yes, and sometimes they are symbols of chaos as well. But yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's get back over. So, those of you coming in, we've been reading in Ezekiel and reading about the restoration of a new temple. And you got to do a work lurk, DJ. Appreciate it. Thanks for the lurk, friend. Reading about the new temple, and now we've gotten into the priest setting up the temple and everything that is going to happen in the temple and the garments that they're supposed to wear and the garments remaining in the temple and not going outside of the temple. And now we're going to keep going with what the priests are to do. They must not shave their heads, nor let their hair grow long. They must only trim their heads. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, so we have in Numbers the growing long hair as a vow. So you're trimming your hair. Now, what is the length of it? I don't know what the length of it is, but you're not shaving your head. Okay, so that is seen as disgraceful often. And then cutting of the hair, when you let it grow, is what you do at the end of a vow. They must only trim their heads. No priest may drink wine when he enters the inner court. They must not marry a widow or a divorcee. Why? Because they're an example. They're an example, okay? They are set apart. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with marrying a widow or a divorcee, but they are a priestly line that is supposed to stay set apart. But they may marry a virgin from the house of Israel or a widow who is a priest widow. Okay, so a widow that's a priest you can marry, and that would be probably still following the, what is it? Shoot, I'm blanking on it. Oh, the kinsman redeemer. The kinsman redeemer, you still may perform the role of a kinsman redeemer, but if you marry outside of the priestly line, the woman needs to be a virgin to come in so that she has purity as she comes into the line. Onesimus, Bobby is an open book, and it's great to see her growth. Always eager to see what she is diving into. Absolutely. Yeah. The open, you know what? I find that people that live stream seem to be more open book than if you're just putting videos out, for instance. Like, if you're having a bad day and you're on stream, a lot of people don't just hide it and cover it up. They go, I'm having a bad day. If you're having a great day, you talk about it. If things in your life are going on, you talk about it. But when you're producing videos and just content to push out there, it seems like we often leave out the bad days from talking about that and not included. So yeah, that's a great thing. And Onesimus, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, having a great holiday approach to Christmas and Advent if you do that. And those that do not know, Advent is the season of waiting, which is leading up to the birth of the King, the one that was long awaited. And so it is the 4 Sundays that precede Christmas each year. Okay, so let's keep going. Moreover, they will teach my people the difference between holy and the common and show them how to distinguish between ceremonially unclean and the clean. Okay. So, in the past, maybe they didn't do this, but we certainly need this restored. We need to have a distinguishing difference between ceremonially unclean and clean. And again, ceremonially, this has to do with being able to come into the presence of God. Okay, so you have a whole set of rules about things that are not able to be in the presence of God and are unclean, and you need to make that clean before coming in. That's what we have going on. And before, people were doing whatever they want. We're not going to do that again. I'm watching Slowly Waking, eating mashed taters and veggies. How art thou? Ooh, and passing the cookies. Some fig Newtons. All right. Figs are good. In a controversy, they will act as judges. They will judge according to my ordinances. They will keep my laws and my statutes regarding all my appointed festivals. And observe my Sabbaths. Because one of the things they didn't do was observe the Sabbaths. And I mean by the Sabbaths, the Sabbath years, the sabbatical years for the land. They must not come near a dead person, or they will be defiled. Okay, why did you switch from being unclean to being defiled? I mean, you keep the same word, because I wouldn't automatically know that you mean being unclean, because you came, but being defiled means unclean. However, for father, mother, son, daughter, brother, or unmarried sister, they may defile themselves. So, priests are not to come near a dead person at all. So when we get to the story, of the Good Samaritan, and a priest walks by, the priest is following this ordinance. Okay? They don't come near the dead person, potentially dead. They don't know he's dead. But if he's dead, they defile themselves. So they are seeking to not defile themselves. So the priest coming by is not doing something in the wrong necessarily. It's not loving, but maybe not wrong. Oh, and okay, so just thinking of that, I just heard someone talk about that the Good Samaritan story, and it was from a non-Western country preaching on the Good Samaritan, and at the end of the Good Samaritan, Jesus asked, the question of which one was, the neighbor to him. And it says the one who took pity on him, something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what it is. But it doesn't say the man who stopped and rescued him, which is how we view that. And so when it says go and do likewise, the pastor there said that the one who showed pity on him was the innkeeper. The innkeeper was the one who took care of him with a promise of getting paid, but no guarantee of getting paid. With having him left there with an indefinite amount of time to care for him, and caring for him for an indefinite amount of time was doing, like, whoa, I've never thought of that. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that the Samaritan wasn't a neighbor. I'm saying, whoa, what a great way to bring in another viewpoint of he also was a neighbor to him, to care for him at his own expense with the promise to be repaid, but what if it didn't happen? So, hey, Andy has guts! Welcome in, good morning! Hope you're doing well. Okay, so we've got the priest must not defile themselves, but you can for a family member only. After the priest has become ceremonially clean, they must count off a period of 7 days for him. On the day he enters the sanctuary into the inner court to serve in the sanctuary, he must offer his sin offering, declares the Lord. So you become clean and you wait 7 days before you can enter. Oh, you're struggling. Andy, what's going on? Let us know. We'd love to pray for you if you're open to that. If you just want to share about that, I'd love to know what's going on. And if there is some way we could help, we would love to do that. This will be their inheritance. I am their inheritance, and they must give. You must give them no property in Israel. So the priests get no property. I am their property. They must eat the grain offering, the sin offering, and the guilt offering, and every devoted thing in Israel will be theirs. The first of all the first fruits and their contributions and all the kind will be for the priest. And they will also give the priest the first portion of your dough. I said firstborn portion of dough. That's funny. So that a blessing may rest on your house. The priest will not eat any bird or animal that has died a natural death or was torn to pieces by a wild animal. So we're getting the priest. Now, before Levites could own land, here it's making a distinction. Priest won't own anything. They stay in the temple. That's their place. Okay. Anxiety and issues with medications. Oh, yeah. Medications take time. That is, and sometimes they need adjusted. Yeah. My wife, not for mental health, but just medication that she has for physical stuff. I wonder and worry about it becoming ineffective because she's been on it for so many years. And then every once in a while, her body just doesn't seem to respond and do as well to the medication. So, yeah. Let's just pray for Andy. Anybody else has a prayer request, we can lift that up as well. And since I'm on stream, I don't close my eyes when I pray. If anything else is mentioned, I want to read that on the screen as well, but we're just going to lift up Andy to God. God, we're just lifting up Andy. We're thankful that he is here hanging out with us. And we just pray for his anxiety that he has. May you remove that. May you replace that. May you remove what is causing that, the root of it. May you be with the medication to get it adjusted so that Andy is able to do all the things that he would like to do, to be fully who he can be. Watch over him. Surround him with your loving arms. Be with Andy. Surround him. Make your presence known. Make your face shine upon him. Remove anxiety. Replace it with your peace, with your shalom. Replace it with your joy. Replace it with just the knowledge that he is exactly who you made him to be. He is not wrong. He is not broken. There might be things going on in his body, but you can bring about healing and restoration. You can do that through a miraculous act. You can do that through answers to prayer. You can do that through medication. And we are just praying, God, that you work through the medication, you work miraculously, and you bring Andy what he's in need of for today and for this week. Ease his mind, comfort him, be his very peace. May your angels surround him and bring him protection. May he know that you are with him now and forever. We pray this and for everyone else who has these same struggles. In Jesus' name, amen. Andy, I appreciate you sharing that, coming in and letting us know that and allowing us to be before the throne of God for you, friend. All right, so let me look at our list here of where we're at. So we just finished through 44. Ooh. We only have 4 more chapters left. Let me just check my phone. I don't have any messages or anything. Bum, ba-da-bum, bum, bum. I do not see any messages. So, all right. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how this goes. We'll go a little bit longer. I don't know if we'll go all the way through 48. We'll just see how we progress here this morning. Andy, I've been praying all night. I will accept all the prayer that is offered. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have seen and witnessed God's answers to prayer. What I do not know always is the timing of God's answers to prayer. I have seen and heard stories of answers to prayer that happen immediately, and I know and have heard and seen answers to prayer that happen in the middle of the night, and I know others that the prayers happen and they happen again and again and again, and the answer seems to be a no, but yet something else happens and changes. And so we just trust in God, in his perfect plan and perfect timing. So, all right, let's move on. When you allot the land as an inheritance, okay, interesting. Why do they need to re-allot the land? They've gone into exile. There was an allotting that happened before. Well, if you're a descendant of the person of the land, you should be able to go back and take possession of your allotment. But what if some line is done away with and there is no remnant of that person? That might be part of what we have here. We'll see what it is, but I'm just saying, well, if they're just coming back, shouldn't you return? You would have property rights. And I'm going in regards to Jeremiah buying a piece of property before he goes to exile so that it remains in his family, and then he has the deeds of it, and those deeds are kept so that when they return, they would have the deed to the property. So just thinking through some of that stuff. Andy, I've been praying for an immediate answer and immersing myself in worship music and allowing the tears to flow freely. And I feel the presence of the Lord. That's an amazing thing when you have the freedom and you feel the freedom to let yourself weep and have sorrow in the midst of worship in the presence of God. That's a beautiful thing, Andy. And I know the the desire to have an immediate answer. I I am often an impatient person in that regards and want an immediate answer. But sometimes when it is anxiety or pain, you just cry out, and you can't think of anything else, and need that in the moment. So we're praying for it to immediately come upon you. Okay, so when you allot the land as an inheritance, you will offer an allotment to the Lord, a holy portion from the land. The length of it will be, okay, this is interesting. This doesn't seem like it was a recreating of what was done. So 25,000 cubits. Okay. 8.25 miles, and the width will be 3.5 miles, or 20,000 cubits. Oh, sorry. The LXX says 20,000. The Hebrew says 10,000. So 25,000 by 10,000, or 25,000 by 20. I'm inclined to go with the 25 by 10. This entire area will be holy. Unless it was square, then I don't know. Of the area of a square, 100 cubits by 100 cubit will be designated for the sanctuary. And, sorry, is that right? Oh, 500 cubits. That's where I got wrong. By 500 cubits for the sanctuary, and 100 cubits set aside for its open space around it. From this measured area around the measure, a length of 25,000 cubits and a width of 10,000 cubits in it for the sanctuary, the most holy place. It will be a holy portion of the land. It will be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, who approach the Lord to minister to him. It will be a place for their houses and a holy place for the sanctuary, an area 8.25 miles in length by 3.5 miles wide in width, will be for the Levites, the ministers at the temple, as the place for their cities in which they will live. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is an additional for the Levites, or the Levites are now inside and not the cities. But the cities, they were supposed to have so many cities. I'm not sure there. It's just Donkey. Hey, welcome in. Good to see you, friend. BRB, I'm watching. Okay. Okay, so it's interesting. So before, there was a temple compound and that Solomon set aside and built inside of Jerusalem. Here, we're getting a, boom, this whole area is wholly set apart. Boom, all of it. Temple Mount, sanctuary, vision of what will be. And the priests dwell within there. The priests don't get an allotment of land. It's God's land. Along the portion set aside as a holy allotment, you will allot the city an area of, let's see, how many? 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 cubits long. So it's half as wide, but it's the same length. It will be for the whole house of Israel. So they get half an allotment right next to the allotment of the holy. For the prince, there will be land on both sides of the holy allotment and the allotted city, on the west side and on the east side. It will be comparable in length to one of the portions from the west border to the east border of the land. This will be his property in Israel. My princes will no longer oppress my people, but the land will be allotted to the house of Israel according to their tribes. Okay, so I'm going to look at land allotment here. See if I can find an image for that. Okay, yeah, here's what I'm looking at. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. So you've got the holy land that's set aside, the land that's set for the priests, then the Levites, Then you have the king on both sides. Okay, we haven't got to the others, but this is showing how Jerusalem is to be laid out, is what it looks like. Okay. So different. A little bit different. Nanaki. Hey, my foot is finally almost better. Thanks for praying for me. I'll try to spread the kindness. Awesome, Nanaki. I'm glad to hear that. I'm trying to remember how long ago that was, but yeah, glad that you are doing better, friend. And progress is a joy, even to know that you're progressing. Okay. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Enough, you princes of Israel. Put away violence and destruction and do what is just and right. Put an end to your evictions of my people, declares the sovereign Lord. You must use just balances and just dry measure, an ephod, and just liquid measure, a bath. The dry and liquid measures will be the same. The bath will contain 1/10 of an omer, and the ephah 1/10 of an omer, and the omer will be the standard measure. The shekel will be 20 gerahs, 60 shekels will be a mina for you. So, as we're reinstituting things, we're making sure you're doing it right. Stop cheating, stop using fixed scales. Okay. So, if you don't know how to do this, or if you've never seen it before, what you would do is, if you have a scale, you would put a little weight of something underneath on the bottom that would help weigh it down on your side. And then somebody else would have to put more in there to equal out on the top, so that you would balance out things. So you would be cheating and swindling every time you made a measurement of things. So if nothing was on the scale, they wouldn't be balanced. This is the offer. You must offer 1/6 of an ephah from a homer of wheat, 1/6 of an ephah of a homer of barley, and as the prescription portion of olive oil, 1/10 of a bath from each core, which is 10 baths or a homer. For 10 baths, make a homer. This just sounds so funny when I hear myself say it out loud. And 1 sheep from each flock of 200. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Only 1 sheep out of 200, not every 10th sheep? Or is this all those already in existence because you haven't been doing it? From the water places of Israel for a grain offering, burnt offering, and peace offering to make atonement for them, declares the sovereign Lord. All the people of the land will contribute to the offering for the prince of Israel. It will be the duty of the prince to provide the burnt offering, the grain offering, the drink offering at festivals, on new moons and Sabbaths, at all the appointed festivals of the house of Israel. So look at this. The king is to provide for the house of God at all the festivals. He will provide the sin offering, the grain offering, the burnt offering, the peace offering to make atonement for the house of Israel. So you have the 7 festivals. He takes care of it. You have the 7th day of the week. He takes care of it. You have the new moon. I don't know if that's 13 times a year. It's at least 12. And then, you have extra there when you're doing moons. The king's supposed to provide for those out of the abundance that the king will have. This is what the sovereign Lord says. In the first month, on the first day of the month, you must take an unblemished young bull and purify the sanctuary. The priest will take some of the blood of the sin offering and place it on the doorpost of the temple, on the 4 corners of the ledge of the altar, and on the doorpost of the gate of the inner court. Wow, this sounds a whole lot like when they were in exile and the spirit was supposed, when they were in slavery in Egypt. That's what I meant, not exile. When the plagues happened, and the sacrifice is supposed to happen, and the sin is supposed to cover the doorpost. Yeah, you're recreating it. You are reinstituting it. You are remembering it, not just at the festival, but at the sanctuary door itself. This is what you must do on the 7th day of the month for anyone who sins inadvertently and through ignorance. You will make atonement for the temple. So you do it on the first day of the month. You do it on the 7th day of the month because somebody might have done something inadvertent, unintentional. Yeah, intentional sin does not have a system for restoration, for being returned. No, only unintentional sin does. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month, you will celebrate the Passover, and for 7 days of the festival, bread made without yeast will be eaten. So now we have the feast of unleavened bread eaten. On that day, the prince will provide for himself and for all the people of the land a bull for a sin offering. And during the 7 days of the feast, he will provide as a burnt offering to the Lord 7 bulls and 7 rams, all without blemish. So 1 on the first day, 7 on all of the following 7 days. On each of the 7 days, and a male goat as a sin offering. So only 1 male goat. But we have 7 rams and 7 bulls. He will provide a grain offering and an ephah for each bull, and an ephah for each ram, and a gallon of olive oil for each ephah of grain. In the 7th month, on the 15th day of the month, at the feast, he will make the same provision for the sin offering, burnt offering, and grain offering, and for the olive oil for 7 days. So skip ahead from the 1st month to the 7th month. The king does the same there. I don't remember what the festival is there. Let's see. Does it tell me? The Feast of Temporary Shelters, the Feast of Booths, or Feast of Tabernacles. Okay. I wasn't sure which one it was. So again, because it is about the Exodus, 1 is the coming out in Exodus, 2 is the wandering in the desert of Exodus and God providing, the king provides. By the way, if you came in, ask questions as we go along. You don't understand anything, it doesn't make sense, you've got other thoughts, you've got other questions, feel free to ask as we're going through. But what we have here in Ezekiel is, Ezekiel was in exile. Ezekiel is proclaiming that the rest of the people and the kings are going to be done away with. The temple is going to be done away with, and the nations around are going to be done away with. After that's all happened, now Ezekiel is declaring that the restoration will take place in the future, and he's giving all the details. And the reason for the specificity of all the details is the certainty that it will happen when you have all the details about it, if that makes sense. This is what the sovereign Lord says. The gate of the inner court that faces east will be closed 6 working days, but on the Sabbath day it will be open, and on the day of the new moon it will be opened. Oh, so we had the door that was shut east can't be opened, it can't come in. But on Sabbaths and celebrations it can, because the presence... Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Hey, Warrior, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it, friend. It might be an auto sub and he might not be here. But if you are, thank you. The prince will enter by way of the porch of the gate from outside and will stand by the doorpost of the gate. The priest will provide his burnt offering and his peace offering. Okay, you are here? Good. By the way, you know what? Let me see if my commands are working. I think they are. Blessing boat is... Yeah, I needed to log in. I figured that was it. As I noticed my alerts weren't working. I probably haven't logged in. I got to log in. Not going to do that. Anyway, Blessing Boat is on Saturday. Yeah, I don't have my commands going. So it's Blessing Boat, twitch.tv/Blessing Boat. You can get there and watch it. So it's a raid stream of family-friendly Christian streamers. Oh, no worries. No worries. No problem on the interruption. You have to give you the new logo. Well, when I go look, I thought that was the new logo. But yeah, send me the new logo. I'll switch it. It's the one with the, the boat and the cross, I thought. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you have a newer one. Anyway, Blessing Boat is a raid train. It happens this coming Saturday. Normally, 3rd Saturday of the month. But because of holidays, this month it is the 2nd of the month. And so it starts... I can never remember the time because it's Central Time. and not Eastern time. But anyway, it's a raid train that goes from like 9 or 10 in the morning, and it goes all the way until 4 or 5 in the afternoon, something like that, on this coming Saturday. And if you miss part of it and you don't have it lined up, you can go to Blessing Boat on Twitch and join it wherever they are at. They go back and forth to Blessing Boat between each streamer, so you don't miss someone if you're not knowledge about who's there. And I don't have all of my stuff up to share because I'm on my new computer, so that's why things aren't working yet. So oh, yeah, Onesimus Prime. So one more time for Onesimus, help me make Little People. Yes. Yeah, Little People is pretty cool. And I need to make one for my fish. I need to have my Dapper Koi avatar created. Yeah, I might, sometime in the near future. Okay. So Doopy's the one that made it? Is that what you're saying there? This is what the Sovereign Lord says. The gate of the inner... Okay, so we had that. The prince will enter by it from the porch. The priest will provide the burnt offering. Closed until evening. The people of the land will bow down at the entrance of the gate before the Lord on the Sabbaths and on the new moons. The burnt offerings that the prince will offer to the Lord on the Sabbath day will be 6 unblemished lambs. So every Sabbath day, 6 unblemished lambs and 1 unblemished ram. Oh, Doopy helped with some editing. Okay. Hey, it's pretty cool. So you know how to make those. That's awesome, friend. The grain offering will be an ephah with a ram, and the grain offering with the lamb will be as much as he is able to give. Ooh, that's interesting. So you can give as much as you want with the grain offering here. A gift of his hand. So this is where the king gets to show generosity, is every Sabbath. He can give as much grain as he wants. This is what he is blessing God with, and the priest and the people for the Sabbath. Every week he gets to show off if he wants to. And a gallon of olive oil with an ephah. On the day of the new moon, he will offer an unblemished young bull and 6 lambs and a ram, all without blemish. He will provide a grain offering and an ephah of a bull and an ephah with the ram and with the lambs, as much as he wishes. So again, he can show off once a month if he wants. And a gallon of olive oil with each ephah of grain. When the prince enters, he will come by way of the porch of the gate and will go out the same way. Bum, 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 bum. Let me just see. Oh, just thanks for the shout out. Normally not a gamer. I play. Yeah, you do. You're on. A donkey for my stream. That would be fun. That would be fun. Like I want to get a fish for mine because I have all the fish, you know. And my other stream is fish. We'll go over there in a little while. At the festivals and at the appointed feast, the grain offering will be an ephah with the bull and the ephah with the ram and the lambs, as much as is able, and a gallon of olive oil with each ephah of grain. When the prince provides a freewill offering, a burnt offering, or a peace offering as a voluntary offering to the Lord, the gate facing east will be opened for him, and he will provide his burnt offering and his peace offering, just as he did on the Sabbath. Then he will go out, and the gate will be closed after he goes. So, anytime the king wants to just make an offering to God of free will, a burnt offering, a peace offering, the gate can be open, the king can come in, an offering can happen, and the king can leave, and the gate will be shut. Otherwise, the gate's open on a Sabbath, on a festival, on a new moon. So 12 times a year, 52 times a year, 7, 12, that's 20, 20, I'm just going to call it 50, 70-ish times a year it's open, but the king can open it more if he wants. That's cool. All right. I will provide a lamb a year old without blemish for the burnt offering daily to the Lord. Morning by morning he will provide it. And you will provide a grain offering with morning by morning, a sixth of an ephah and a third of a gallon of olive oil to moisten the choice flour as a grain offering to the Lord. This is a perpetual statute. Thus they will provide the lamb, the grain offering, the olive oil, morning by morning as a perpetual burnt offering. So this is what the king is to do. It's going to keep happening. Why do we have all these details? Because they didn't do it before. And so we're going to make sure we're reinstituting everything, so we're restating everything, so everybody knows everything. So if everybody hears everything and the king isn't doing it, we're able to say, hey, king, you're not doing it. You're supposed to do this. We got restored to the land. This is recreation, restoration, returning, and we don't want to mess it up this time, Aaron. And so we're gonna know what everybody's role is and what everyone is to do, and we're gonna hear this, and we're gonna make sure, at least that's the plan, to try to make sure that's what happens. Okay, this is what the sovereign Lord says. If if the prince should give a gift to one of his sons as his inheritance, it will belong to his sons. It is the property by inheritance. But if, if he gives a gift from his inheritance to one of his servants, it will be his servants until the year of liberty. I think this should be Jubilee. Yeah, the year of Jubilee. Then it will revert to the princes. So he gets it until that year, which is supposed to happen every 7 years. Things are returned to the rightful owner. So the servant has it for 7 years to use, to utilize, to possess. So all of the value of the land is given to the servant until the year of Jubilee. So if it's 7 years away, you have it for 7 years. If it's 2 years away, you get it for 2 years. The prince will not take away any of the people's inheritance by oppressively removing them from their property. He will give his sons an inheritance from his own possession so that my people will not be scattered, each from his own property. So, yeah, you are not going to take land away anymore, King Ahab, Queen Jezebel. I like your land, give it to me. No. Well, then I'll kill you and take it. No, we're not doing that again. And I know that was Northern Kingdom, but now there is one kingdom in return. Then he brought me out to the outer court and led me past the four corners of the court. And I noticed that in every corner of the court there was another court. And in the four corners of the court were small courts. Okay, 70 feet in length and 52 feet high. What is the... So 40 cubits by 30 cubits. Oh, sorry, width, not height. I don't know why I said height. The four were all the same size. There was a row of masonry around each of the four courts, and a place for boiling offerings were made under the rows all around. Then he said to me, these are the houses for boiling, where the ministers of the temple boil the sacrifices of the people. Okay, so there's a court, and the court has a boiling place away from the temple. Then he brought me to the back entrance of the temple. I noticed the water was flowing from under the threshold of the temple toward the east. So the water is flowing towards the east. The temple faced east. The water was flowing down from under the right side of the temple from south of the altar. He led me out by the way of the north gate and brought me around to the outside of the outer gate that faces towards east. I noticed the water was trickling out from the south side. So I'm not tracking with all this. He's taking him on a tour. Good enough. Then the man went out toward the east with a measuring line in his hand. He measured out, how many cubits? 1,000 cubits. So 1,000 being a large measurement. And then he led me through water, which was ankle deep. Oh, is this like going through the Red Sea? Going through the Jordan River? He's taking me through, but here it's only ankle deep? Maybe. Again, measured 1,000 cubits and led me through the water, which was now knee deep. Once more, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he led me through water that was waist deep. Again, he measured 1,000 cubits in the water, 1,000 feet, and it was a river I could not cross. For the water had risen, it was deep enough to swim in, and a river that could not be crossed. And he said to me, "Son of man, have you seen this?" Okay, so we go 1,000, and then it goes from ankle to knee to waist to neck to over your head, and now we can't see the other side. Yes, I'm rating fishies today. So in a little bit, I'll start the fishies channel, and we'll raid over there, and then I'll also be working on my computer, but I don't have a timer set up for how often, and I need to get a couple. So when I get over there, I'll set up some things on screen that says co-working, collab, and hopefully that works. We'll see how that goes. Then he led me back to the bank of the river. When I had returned, I noticed a vast number of trees on the banks of the river and on both sides. He said to me, "These waters go out toward the east region and flow down into the Rift Valley. When they enter the Dead Sea, where the sea is stagnant, the water becomes fresh." So life is going out from the temple, and it's flowing into the place where the river is dead, where the sea is dead. Ooh. Every living creature that swarms where the river flows will live. There will be many fish, for these waters flow there. It will become fresh, and everything will live there. Where the river flows, fishermen will stand beside it from En-gedi to En-gleim. They will spread nets. They will catch many kinds of fish, like the fish of the great sea. But its swamps and its marshes will not become fresh. They will remain salty. On both sides of the river banks, every kind of tree will grow for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor will their fruit fail, but they will bear fruit every month because their water source flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be the fruit of their leaves for healing. Okay, this totally sounds like the same description we get in Revelation, and the fruit is the fruit for the healing of the nations. Here, do we have anything? Yeah, it just says see Revelation 22. So again, I don't think this has to be literal water flowing out and literal trees with fruit every season. This is talking about abundance. That's what we're describing here. That from the presence of God's flows abundance out of the sanctuary. His blessing overflows. That's the language we're getting here, is abundance of blessing of overflowing. We don't need to take this literal. Okay, I think we diminish it when it has to be literal, because now it's only in a singular place and it's a confined space. And you see how making it literal narrows it down instead of it flows out and there is no end to it. And then we can say it reaching the ends of the earth, and the blessing of God starts here and it encompasses and goes to everyone. I just see it as greater and grander if we don't take it literally. Donkey. Just had your first cup of coffee. Need about 5 more before you're fully coherent. I'm usually on the tea band. So I've got Earl Grey. This is almost gone. This is the second one. But we're doing good. I'm serious. I'm a type of person who should be given a wide berth. Yeah, I totally get that. Earl Grey is your favorite tea? Yeah. Well, I bounce back and forth between Earl Grey and English breakfast. That's my morning repertoire. And, I got a new tea. It is Blueberry Merlot. It's not wine, but, just a nice name. It's got blueberries in there. It's got hibiscus. It's got some other stuff in there. Oh, my goodness. It's fantastic. I love it. That's my evening. Andy, I love tea. Irish breakfast is your favorite, followed by English breakfast. I do like Irish breakfast. I just, probably it goes right behind English breakfast for me. So just on the other way. Just the other way. But yeah, definitely a top 5 tea. English breakfast and Irish breakfast and Earl Grey. You can arrange the orders, I would say. What brand? I'll put a link to it in the Discord for the Blueberry Merlot. I did set up one time an Amazon link account. I might need to try to do that again. You're partial to Twinnings? Okay. The tea that I drink in the morning is Vadam, which is shipped directly through Amazon from the farmers, the plantations in India. So you can get loose leaf tea shipped directly from there instead of through middlemen. It comes directly from the farm. So I really, really like getting my tea that way, loose leaf. And then the other one is a smaller company. I don't remember what their name is. Donkey, I have to be careful with tea I drink, though, because certain teas can interfere with or increase the effect of blood thinning meds you take. Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. Okay, let's keep going. This is what the Sovereign Lord says. Oh, let me just checking something here. Okay. We'll finish this chapter. Oh, we're on 47. Oh, I want to finish the book. Let's see what we can do. This is what the Sovereign Lord says. Here are the boundaries you will observe, all the allotments of the land for the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph will have 2 portions. You must divide it equally, just as I vowed to give to your forefathers. This land will be assigned as your inheritance. So why Joseph gets 2? Because the first time he got 2. Okay, so we're redistributing the land. The land has all been redeemed and reclaimed by God, and now it needs to be redispersed. This will be the border of the land on the north side, from the Great Sea by way of Hethlon to the entrance of Zedad, Hemath, Berothoth, Sibrium, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, as far as Hazor, Hittikon, which is on the border of Hauran. The border will run from the sea to Hazar Enan, to the border of Damascus, and on the north to the border of Hamath. This is the north side. On the east side, between Haran and Damascus, and between Gilead and the land of Israel, will be the Jordan. You will measure from the border of the eastern sea. This is the east side. On the south side, it will run from Tamar to the water of Merabath Kadesh, the river, to the Great Sea. This is the south side. On the west side, the Great Sea will be the boundary to a point opposite Lebo Hamath. This is the west side. This is how you will divide the land for yourselves among the tribes of Israel. You must allot it as an inheritance among yourselves and for the resident foreigners who live among you, who fathered sons among you. So if they're living in you and they are outside of the tribe, they are now in and can possess the land. What? Yep. If they are following me and they are among you, they get a portion now. You must treat them as native born among the people of Israel. They will be allotted an inheritance with you among the tribes of Israel. In whatever tribe the resident foreigner lives, they will give him an inheritance, declares the Lord. So you got someone outside the land, living in the land, living among you, serving among you. They get a portion of the land now because they are following God. They are a resident foreigner. They have come in because of whatever circumstances, and now they're following God. They get a portion of the land. Okay, just going to peek here again. So it looks like Judah, Reuben, Ephraim, Manasseh, Naphtali, Asher, and Dan. So Naphtali would be one of the sons of, and Zebulon would be the other son of, who am I thinking? Joseph. Notice Dan is mentioned, it looks like, though. Let's keep going. Oh, wrong one. All right. These are the names of the tribe from the northern end beside the road of Hamath to Lebo Hamath, as far as Hazar Enan, which is the border of Damascus towards the northern side. Hamath extending to the east side to the west. Dan will have one portion. Next to the border of Dan from the east side to the west side, Asher will have one portion. Next to the border of Asher from the east side to the west side, Naphtali will have one portion. Next to the border of Naphtali from the east side to the west side, Manasseh will have one portion. Next to the border of Manasseh from the east side to the west side, Ephraim will have one portion. Next to the border of Ephraim from the east side to the west side, Reuben will have one portion. Next to the border of Reuben from the east side to the west side, Judah will have one portion. Hey, Cockroach, welcome in. Next to the border of Judah from the east to the west side will be the allotment you must set apart. That is 8¼ miles wide and the same length as one of the tribal portions from the east to the west side. The sanctuary will be in the middle of it. The allotment of the set apart to the Lord will be 8¼ miles in length and 3⅓ miles in width. These will be the allotments for the holy portion for the priest towards the north, 8¼ miles in length, towards the west, 3⅓ miles in width, and towards the east, 3⅓ miles in width, and towards the south, 8¼ miles in length. The sanctuary of the Lord will be in the middle. This will be for the priests who are set apart from the descendants of Zadok, who kept my charge and did not go astray when the people of Israel strayed off as the Levites did. Love how, dude, if you honor God and follow God, you keep getting remembered and mentioned. It will be their portion for their allotment of the land, a most holy place next to the border of the Levites. Along the border of the priests, the Levites will have an allotment of 8¼ miles in length and 3⅓ miles in width, with the whole length will be 8¼ miles, and with a width 3⅓ miles. They will not sell or exchange any of them. They must not transfer their choice portion of the land, for it is set apart to the Lord. The remainder, 1 2/3 mile of width and 8¼ miles in length, will be for common use by the city, for houses and for open space. The city will be in the middle of it. These will be its measurements. The north side will be 1½ miles, and the south side will be 1½ miles, and the east side will be 1½ miles, and the west side will be 1½ miles. The city will have open spaces. On the north there will be, what is this? There's going to be 250 cubits, and on the south 250 cubits, and on the east 250 cubits, and on the west 250 cubits. The remaining length of the side, the holy allotment, will be 3⅓ miles to the east and 3⅓ miles towards the west, and it will be beside the holy allotment. Its produce will be the food for the workers of this city. The workers of the city from all the tribes of Israel will cultivate it. The allotment will be 8¼ miles square and must be set apart. The holy allotment will with the possession of the city. The rest of both sides of the holy allotment and the property of the city will belong to the prince, extending from the 8¼ miles of the holy allotment to the east border, and westward from the 8¼ miles to the west border alongside the portion. It will belong to the prince. The holy allotment and the sanctuary of the temple will be in the middle of it. The property of the Levites and the city will be in the middle of that which belongs to the prince. The portion between the border of Judah and the border of Benjamin will be for the prince. So, I know we had all of the city stuff mentioned in the prince before, but now it's being put in the middle of it. And so we get the repetition of it. In case you forgot, we're going to repeat it. We're going to make sure nobody misses what's supposed to happen. As for the rest of the tribes from the east side to the west side, Benjamin will have one portion. Next to the border of Benjamin. From the east side to the west side, Simeon will have one portion. Next to the border of Simeon, from the east side to the west side, Issachar will have one portion. Next to the border of Issachar, from the east side to the west side, Zebulun will have one portion. Next to the border of Zebulun, from the east side to the west side, Gad will have one portion. Next to the border of Gad, from the south side to the border, will run from Tamar to the waters of Merabath Kadesh, to the stream of Egypt, and to the great sea. This is the land that you will allot to the tribes of Israel, and these are their portion, declares the Lord. So what's interesting, in the first allotting of people, their portions were according to their size. If you were a bigger tribe, you got a bigger portion. Here, it sounds like equal distribution. Each tribe gets one portion. These are the exits of the city on the north, 1.5 miles by measure. The city gate will be named for the tribes of Israel. There will be 3 gates on the north, 1 gate for Reuben, 1 gate for Judah, 1 gate for Levi. On the east side, 1.5 miles in length, there will be 3 gates. 1 gate for Joseph, 1 gate for Benjamin, 1 gate for Dan. On the south side, 1.5 miles by measure, there will be 3 gates. 1 gate for Simeon, 1 gate for Issachar, 1 gate for Zebulun. On the west side, 1.5 miles in length, there will be 3 gates. 1 gate for Gad, 1 gate for Asher, 1 gate for Naphtali. The circumference of the city will be 6 miles. The name of the city from this day forward will be, "The Lord is there." What does that mean? Or, I'm sorry, what is that? So, Ezekiel 48. You believe it? We finished Ezekiel today. Okay. What is it? So it's just Sam. Okay. Sham. So Yahweh Sham. God is there. All right. So we finished Ezekiel, everybody. There's some hype. Let me start my other stream here and get that going. I'm gonna cancel. The mic is out. It looks like stream music is going. Oh, I need to do co-working. Thought there was a co-working. Huh. Thought there was. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look that up. I swore I'd seen that before. Nope, I don't see that. Okay. Yes, it's gone. See there? Oh, so maybe I need to do the dash. Okay. Co-dash. There we go. That's why. Co-working and studying. There we go. Okay. And we're going live. So I think it's up. I think it's good. we'll see what happens, and now we can go and raid myself, which is weird. Happy wife, happy life. Yes, I did. If you look in the Discord, I did post just a mustache photo, and if you go check that out, my wife was 100% no on that. Not doing the mustache. She does, like, that's a no go for her. Okay. So let me get my. Let's do a raid. Get that started. All right, so we'll get the raid started. I'll send you off with a blessing. So, may God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Because your phone has everything little. Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for coming in today, hanging out. Loved hanging out with you. We finished Ezekiel. Oh, my goodness, that's super exciting. I did not think we would do that. You've been great. We're going to check out my other stream. There's going to be a thing. I'm just trying to... If you don't like hanging out there, I understand. Go find someone else that's doing something that's going to chat with you. But I'm just going to be here. I can answer questions. I'm going to be working. I need to get a timer set up over there that says we're working until the timer goes off. And but I've been delaying and trying to get it going. And so we're going to go today and see how it works. So anyway, thank you for being here. Oh, Andy, absolutely. For your prayers, absolutely. Very much appreciated. Let me get my credits rolling and recognize everybody before we get out of here.
Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, self-divine, flipping scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalm singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early.
All right, so just for a minute, I'm just going to welcome everybody. All right, so I'm just going to welcome you all in so you can see different angle, different computer, not as fancy. Below me is the pond outside, and I can see I got some algae floating in front of the camera. I need to get that moved, but behind there you can see the fish that are outside in the pond. The pond cam is now over on the tank over there, and the Squidward straight over from me, and then Wywis, knocked over SpongeBob's house, and the Guppies and the outdoor camp. So I'm gonna work on. You didn't get to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A little bit quick. Music is really loud. A little hard to hear. Okay. Thanks for the input there. Let me turn the music down. And I need to get a timer up here of some kind that will count down. Scripture flipped, every verse fulfilled, from Eden's garden to Jerusalem's thrill. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. I will eventually get something set up better. Blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, 20-minute timer. That looks good. In here blessed? I'm blessed. Wake up early, the dawn's light shivers. Spiritual breakfast, soulful. It might be too big. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Might be too big to add that. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plow in the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. That's there. Soundtrack, soul's urban sound. No shortcuts, all divine routes.
Listen to the whispers, I'm blessed. No shortcuts, all divine routes. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learn and perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops, deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the blessings, pastor with skill. A year to reflect, learn and perfect. Patterns of grace that
Okay,
time
now I
can't
need a
deflect.
text box.
Black cat pastor, dashing
Come on,
through
where's the text
pages,
box?
chronicles, gospels, prophets, sages,
There we go.
Leviticus laws to Paul's fine phrases, turning them corners, no spiritual mazes, Genesis to Revelation, soak divine, flipping scripts, endless grace you'll find, Psalm singing sweet unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest.
Grab the wrong
Anybody
thing
in
there.
here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers.
I'll get this
Spiritual
done
breakfast,
better,
soul
but like I
food
said, I
dinners.
just wanted
Isaiah's
to
vision,
get it
Ezekiel's
up.
figures.
So
Walk
there's the
through
timer.
fire, no
We're
one
working until the
limbers.
timer goes
Kings and
off.
Judges, prophets profound, plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse,
So let me see if there's
wisdom
anything in
found.
chat.
Heavenly soundtrack, souls urban. Anybody
This guy
in
looks
here
familiar.
blessed?
Hey, RT.
Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed.
Mic is like 30. Okay, well, hopefully it's better. That's better. Much better. Okay. All right. Well, I'm turning the mic off and I want to start working. So I will be here. I won't be checking on the chat until the timer goes off, and then we'll. And I got to figure out how to reset that. That might not work. I might have to redo that, but that's the plan. And I hope you enjoy just hanging out and looking at my fishes. And if you have questions, we'll go over those when I come back.
Red Sea, divine reveal, commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill, unfolding the blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flipped, every verse fulfilled, from Eden's garden to Jerusalem's thrill. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul's urban sound. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, I'm blessed. No shortcuts, all divine routes. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets.
That's not good.
Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective.
Hello.
A year to reflect. Learn and perfect patterns of grace that
Hello?
time can't
Hello?
deflect. Old Testament drops, deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that
Something
Red
is
Sea,
wrong.
divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the blessings, pastor with skill. A year to reflect. Learn and perfect patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Black cat pastor, dashing through pages, chronicles, gospels, prophets, sages, Leviticus laws to Paul's fine phrases, turning them corners, no spiritual mazes, Genesis to Revelation, soak divine, flipping scripts, endless grace you'll find, Psalm singing sweet unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed?